To our viewers on YouTube and our public access channel 10 here in Tiffin. Hello to you as well. My name is Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons, alongside Tiffin University head football coach Gary Goff. Coach, how you doing today, sir?
Doing good.
Doing good?
Doing good.
Well, let's take our sponsors real quick before we get into the program. Our sponsors include our title sponsors, which are the Ohio Mutual Insurance Group, Jim Kennedy's office, and CF Professionals Incorporated, Gary Gruse's office. Our other sponsors include Marco's Pizza in Tiffin, the Pioneer Mill Restaurant in Tiffin, Ralph's Joy of Living in Tiffin and in Fremont, Seneca Hills Golf Course, State Farm Insurance, Ed Lape's office, Steyer Seeds, Tiffin Ace Hardware, and Viewpoint Graphics. Well, it's homecoming week this week. A lot of excitement around campus, but first we got to touch on last week's game.
Sure.
Another road test for the Dragons in the GLIAC Conference. We took our team up to Northwood University, and it's a game, Coach, we could talk hours and hours and hours about it. You could add up all the numbers all over this stat sheet I have here, and none of them are going to equal out to what the final score was.
It really doesn't make sense, does it?
No, I told you, I played it over my head all weekend. I'm sure you did as well, and we'll break it down, but I'm sure just a little frustration right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all frustrated, even the players. But it's still, you got to do every little thing right and pay attention to detail. And the only thing we didn't win on that sheet you got right there is the score, because I think we had 25 more plays, we had more yards, we had 40 minutes time of possession to their 19 and something. And it doesn't add up on papers, but it's why you play the game.
Absolutely.
I knew that early when we were having to settle for a few field goals. I thought in the back of my mind, this could catch us, if we don't start scoring. And eventually it did. Yeah,
you had opportunities to. That's I told you before we started the program. Sometimes it's getting the 7 and not getting the 3.
Yeah.
Being able to get that separation because you're dominating. And you look up and you're up 6-0.
Yeah.
Think all it's going to take is a fluke touchdown, and you're down, and all that hard work, and now you're down a point.
And that's kind of exactly what happened. But yeah, I mean, you want to end every drive with PAT kick.
Sure.
But the next best thing is obviously getting the field goal. And, we did that to start the game, and thought the offense did a great job moving the ball. Defense did a great job getting off the field. I think Northwood had 6 first downs at halftime. We had something like 16. So everything was, going the course except for a couple of big plays really on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. Well, the first scoring drive of the game, Dragons again go 12 plays, 50 yards. We talked about last week those 3 drives in a row with, I think it was 9, 12, and 13 play drives. This time another long drive, 12 plays, 50 yards, 4 minutes and 59 seconds, and BK, Tomislav Derizic, comes in and boots in a 25-yard field goal. The Dragons take a 3-0 lead at the 5-minute mark of the first quarter.
Yeah, I thought Pipkin did a good job. I was kind of worried about how is he going to start his first college game, as a starting quarterback, because sometimes it's easier to come off the bench.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that relief pitcher. All I got to do is come out there and play.
Yeah.
But, he had a good week of practice, and he handled himself. He always does. He handled himself very well. And he came right in and let us straight down. I thought we had some nice runs by Jerry Brown. It looked like the offensive line was doing a good job getting some push. And I thought we did a good job keeping them a little off balance the first quarter at least. And, we just got down there. We missed a ball in the end zone to Jeremy Armstrong where, if you pause it on the film, you could call it either way, in or out. But, it's one of those things where we got to clearly make the catch inbounds, and that way it's out of the officials' hands, obviously.
Absolutely.
But, we missed that corner throw right there, which is a big play, and had to settle for the field goal. So, it definitely wasn't a loss, as that first drive. It was definitely a win. But still, you get in the red zone, you got to come away with 7 points, not 3.
Well, probably felt good to see Derizic come out and nail that first field goal as well after the struggles he had to follow the week before.
Yeah, definitely. And he handled himself all day. We did have the one block, but that was a high snap, and he kind of kicked it low. So that was more on the operation. I think it was him. But, he definitely had confidence. He hit 3 field goals for us with ease.
Well, at the end of one quarter, the Dragons are up 3-0, and definitely outplaying Northwood, a big time of possession advantage as well as plays and yardage, but still the scoreboard still only shows 3-0.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I think we had 2 drives, and I looked up and the quarter was over.
Yeah, it was a very fast-moving first quarter. It took about 25 minutes real time.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting there going, didn't we just start the game?
Absolutely.
But hey, time flies when you're having fun, and we were. We just needed to finish with 7 points, not 3. And, it was nice to see the defense go out and get a 3 and out and get us right back out there because at that time we were hot and we were moving the chains.
Absolutely. Second quarter, scoring again from the Dragons, take a 6-0 lead at the 13:29 mark. Tomislav Derizic with a 29-yard field goal after, again, a 13-play, 76-yard drive. He's up 5 minutes and 4 seconds off the clock. My broadcast partner, Matt Kibble, and I were talking. Your offense in that first half was doing a great job of letting the defense stay on the sideline and get some air. 5-minute drive equates to about 15 minutes of real time normally, and that's huge advantage compared to what the defense was with the time possession earlier in the year.
Sure. Well, one of the coaches made a comment at halftime. We're getting together and talking about what we need to change or adjustments. And one of the coaches made the comment, said, "Hey, we got to keep the defense off the field." And I looked at the stat sheet and I said, "Well, they've only been out there for 7 minutes. I think they're okay."
Yeah, they should be okay.
But no, and with everybody's offense, you want to have nice long scoring drives.
Yes.
Keep your defense on the sideline, which keeps them fresh, and more importantly, is keeping their offense, which usually is the scorer, off the field. So we did a good job in that first half. That drive where we settled for the second field goal, we miss a post in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
And I think Pipkin was one of the throws. I made a comment earlier that I think about 2 throws he wishes he had back. That was one of them right there because he just tried to place the ball and just loft it up there and make a perfect pass rather than making the drop, making the correct read, and just throwing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the quarterback, when you're trying to aim it too careful.
Did you say that to him on the sideline? It looked like we were watching you on the side. It looked like you were saying just throw the ball.
Right.
Yes.
Quit trying to be so careful with where you place it.
Yes.
And just go through your reach and deliver the football. And he's like, "Oh, coach, I was making sure I had it over that safety's head." And I was like, well, "You did, just a little bit too far."
Yeah, sometimes just be a football player out there.
Right.
Don't overthink what you're doing. Just go out there and be a football player.
Yeah, that's one of the throws he wishes he had back because he was trying to place the ball rather than just throw it. I mean, he's very accurate. And, again, that's a mistake sometimes of a young quarterback, just trying to put the ball too carefully, trying to place it there.
Absolutely.
We settle for a field goal there, makes it 6-0. But gosh, it should have been 14-0.
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest differences you ever see in size of kickers was happening in this game. Tomislav Durizic's nicknamed BK because of the big kicker. The kicker Keegan Haggerty for Northwood. I think he was listening to the program at 5'6", was it 158 or something like 138 maybe? So he's a tiny guy, but he came out and put a 37-yard field goal through the uprights at the 7:50 mark of the second quarter. An 8-play, 23-yard drive for them. Only took 2 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock, but still the Dragons in the lead there at 6-3.
Yeah, and defense did a great job on that drive. To be honest with you, there was a big play. Right in the corner of the end zone. They called pass interference on one of our corners. Said he didn't get his head around far enough to look for the ball. To be honest with you, I thought the kid made a great play. Just unfortunate we had that call, but that's part of the game. And defense, they got to turn around and stop them again. Instead of giving a touchdown, and they really did. They gave them the first down. I think it put them on about the 25-yard line, and then we stopped them 3 straight plays, and they had to settle for the field goal. So
I made the score 6-3, and then the final score of the opening half with 1 minute and 3 seconds left. A couple of those end of the half scores grabbed you this year. Corey Goebel, a 35-yard pass from Mitch Robinson, their young quarterback. I thought he played a pretty decent game for them.
He did.
An 8-play, 77-yard drive, only 1 minute and 1 second off the clock to get that late score there in the second half. So they took a 9-3 extra lead into the halftime because the extra point failed.
Yeah, we knew going into this game we had to stop the run. I think that first half defense did a great job of doing that because Northwood's got 2 very good running backs.
Yes.
I think you saw late in the game the kid from Michigan State hurdle the offensive line and score. I mean, so they're very good players. That first half, we kept them in check. Defense stopped them right there, got them into a 4th and 1, and they decided to go for it. And I got to tip my hat to Northwood staff. They made a great call right there. On 4th and 1, they made a play-action pass call. Their tight end slipped behind our safety who didn't see him. Willis is sitting there wanting to make the tackle for loss, so it's a big stop for defense.
Yeah.
And tight end snuck right past him, and they threw, a 33-yard touchdown pass right at the end of the second.
35-yard, yeah.
35-yard.
Yep.
Yeah, so, just like I wanted a quarterback to have that throwback, I'm sure Stephon Willis, who's a great football player for us, wishes he had that back because, he kind of fell asleep on his assignment right there. And, it happens. It was a great call by them.
Well, Stephon ended up having a pretty decent game, though, all in all. He had a couple picks in the game as well.
He did. He really did.
Well, so the halftime score was 9-6 in the favor of Northwood, but as we spoke about the game stats, the halftime stats reflected the same thing.
Wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't close. The plays that you guys ran 50 plays in the first half, if I remember correctly. 50 plays, and they ran somewhere in the probably the low 20s.
Yeah, they had 20s. I think it was 22 to be exact. They had 6 first downs to our 17.
Yeah.
Time of possession, they only had it for 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't close, and yet we didn't do a good job of finishing drives. And we got to finish drives, and we get down there to the red zone, the goal line. We got to walk away with 7 points. And last night, I'm watching the Sunday night football game with the Falcons and New England.
Yeah.
Said the same thing to my wife. Said the Falcons got to finish drives and get touchdowns, especially if they're playing Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
So it can happen at any level. Field goals are good, but that's not what necessarily wins football games.
Yeah. Both of them are quick in numbers, but sevens are a lot prettier, that's for sure. Well, let's look at the first half. Let's step aside and take a break, and we'll come back and look at half number 2 for the Dragons game with the Timberwolves up at Northwood. You are listening to and watching the Gary Goff Show here on the Tiffany University Dragon Radio Network. Welcome back to the Gary Goff Show here on the Tiffany University Dragon Radio Network, your weekly look at Tiffany University football. If you'd like more information on Tiffany University athletics, you can go to gotiffindragons.com. If you'd like more information on Tiffany University academically, go to tiffin.edu. So at the half, Dragons down 9-6. As we said, the statistical numbers didn't add up. But all in all, you're still only down 3, so you had to feel pretty good about where your team felt at the halftime.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were. I mean, we talked to the guys at halftime, hey, let's go back out and treat the game like it's 0-0, and, let's play hard and finish drives, and we're fine. I mean, we were all in good spirits at that time because we were taking care of business on both sides of the ball, with the exception of let's not get field goals, let's get touchdowns.
Yeah.
And, so we had talked about what we were going to do down there in the goal line as far as maybe making some changes here and there from what they were doing defensively. But, spirits were high at halftime, and, we were excited, ready to get back up for that second half.
Well, Northwood looked like it as well. Their first drive of the second half, they looked like they were on a mission. Came out 13 plays, 79 yards, and 330, and they came out with emotion and ready to fire out, and they marched right down the field and got a touchdown on a Jordan Yonker 2-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, we didn't do what we did a week earlier. Came out in the second half and stopped Grand Valley right away and got the ball back and went down and scored. And, we got to come out ready. And we weren't. They were. That long drive right there, it would have been nice to get a 3 and out, get us back on the field, and let us get a score. And now the momentum could have changed. But, I really felt right there at that point when they drove the distance, that was, I wouldn't say necessarily a statement drive, but yet it definitely took a little bit of the wind out of our sails. So I felt like after that, offensively anyway, we started pressing a little bit.
Yeah. And
I felt like defense started doing the same thing. They started looking around for answers, started pressing as far as playing, and that caused them maybe to not, read some of their keys and stuff like that. But, that changed the game right there, that first drive, to be honest.
Well, it made it a 2-score differential, too. It made it 16-6. You think that kind of gets into the players' minds as far as pressing a little bit when they realize we can't just go down there and get that one drive and get us back even on the scoreboard?
Yeah, I think so. I preach to them all the time, don't look at the scoreboard. Yes, the scoreboard's important, but you know what? The most important play in football is the next play.
One, yes.
And if you get caught up in watching that scoreboard, and you'll start pressing like that, oh my gosh, it's a 10-point game, and we still got a quarter and a half.
And then you start looking at the clock too much.
We got to score now. We're pressing, and then the game can fly by, and before you know it, you're down 14, 10 points, whatever, and you're out of time. And, Bill Walsh was always great about talking about that is, hey, the score will take care of itself.
That's true.
Just play hard. Make sure you do your responsibility. Make sure you play the next play. And if you're doing those things, at the end of the game, you'll look up and the score will take care of itself. And, that's one thing we got to continue preaching. Hey, play the next play. Don't worry about what's on the scoreboard. Let's worry about the score at the end of the game.
Yeah. Well, it was 16-6 on the third quarter ended, but the Dragons were in the middle of a drive. A fantastic drive. It started at their own 7-yard line, 17 plays, 93 yards. 6 minutes and 8 seconds off the clock and went from your 7 down to the 3-yard line.
Yeah.
And again, Dragons ended up having to settle for a Tomislav Derizic field goal, a 20-yarder, to get back within a touchdown, 6-9. But that seemed like a drive where your offense said, okay, let's get back in this game. And I think the whole momentum shift would have been more greatly exaggerated if you would have got 7 instead of 3 again there.
Yeah, we took a sack down there. If I remember right, we got down there on first down. We ran the ball, got minus a yard or two. Next play, Pipkin took a sack. So now all of a sudden, instead of being first and goal, now you're backed up in the red zone. You're looking at 3rd and 13, and just not a good series right there. Once we got down there, those 2 plays right there, back-to-back losses, put you behind the 8 ball, making it 3rd and long down there. And so the next play, instead of throwing it up and asking for a prayer in the end zone, we ran a 3-step route and tried to get at least half of it, put Tomislav in position to get a field goal. But we got to learn up front that we can't take sacks in crucial moments of the ball game. And the crucial spots actually is down there, obviously, on going in for a score, and on the other end of the field and what we call the yellow zone coming out. There's 2 areas you cannot afford to take sacks. And I preach to the quarterbacks all the time, as far as you get in trouble, hey, let's get out of the pocket and throw it away. But the sack came right up the middle right there, and he was pretty much corralled, so he had nowhere to go. Yeah,
well, and for the game, I believe he was sacked 9 times for the game.
Yeah, he was. 2 of those were definitely his fault. The other 7, we got to tighten things up with the offensive line play up front, and really attack them more. We're going through our pass sets right there, and just opening up the gate a little bit too much in some spots. And we had a true freshman play right guard, and Matt Noble. He'll be on the show later, but Matt Noble had a great football game for his first college start. He had some MAs, some missed assignments, but I tell you what, the young man will battle, and we got a good football player right there in him. We got to get a little bit of play out of our 2 tackles right there. They didn't have a good game.
Yeah, well, that's you would think that with that many sacks, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, the next score in the ball game comes at the 9:50 mark of the final quarter. Again, the kicker for Northwood, Keegan Haggerty, a 19-yard field goal. Again, another long drive by one of the offenses. 12 plays, 79 yards, 3 minutes and 37 seconds off the clock. And that stretched our league back out to 10, with the clock starting to be a foe against you as well in this ball game.
Right, yeah. We were still down by 10. I think last time I looked at the scoreboard, the clock, it was about 9:30, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so we still had plenty of time. If you think back to a year ago, we were down 10 at Malone, and we scored 10 with 3 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
So, that's never a huge issue with our offense, since we're up tempo all the time, no huddle. But I still kind of felt offensively the guys were pressing a little bit too much right there. And now, don't get me wrong, we have to have a sense of urgency, and we got to play fast, and we got to be in the attack mode all the time. But I could just see in their eyes, they're like, oh my God, if we don't score right now, it's over.
Sure.
And I don't want them in that mind frame. I want them in the frame that's never over. Let's just stay in attack mode, and let's worry about the next play. And we had a good drive right there, but still didn't finish it.
Well, Devontae Elzy, the final touchdown of the game, a 43-yard pass reception from Mitch Robinson. The kick was good. A 3-play, 54-yard, 48-second drive, and then the Dragons get a safety with 1 second left on the clock to finish up the scoring at 26-11. And Coach, like I said, we could spend the whole program going over these numbers and trying to figure out how that score ended up. But Jerry Brown, his most productive day on the ground for you, averaged over 7 yards a carry in the ball game. He was leading ball carrier with 76 yards. Antonio Pipkin had 71 yards go long as well. Tyler Jones, I thought, had a really nice game. He always seemed like he was in the right place at the right time when Antonio Pipkin needed him in the ball game. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, this is the 3rd straight week Jerry Brown's had over 100 yards. The young man can play. That's why we recruited him.
I keep saying to Matt, we're a true freshman backfield right now. And
stop reminding me.
I know. Well, we've been having this conversation for a couple of years now, Coach. I mean, you're bringing a lot of good freshman football players, and a lot of these good freshman football players are forced into action earlier in their career, and it's they got to grow up, and playing is a part of it. But it's a fact. Having freshmen back there it's a part of it.
Well, I think every season you never know how it's going to unfold. At the start of camp, we were very excited because we were very deep at the offensive line. We were very deep at tailback. We were pretty deep at receiver, and James Hall had his injury from a year ago. He was coming back and trying to get back in shape in camp, and tweaked a hamstring. Well, that gave Jerry Brown a little bit more reps at camp, got him a little more prepared for the season. And then as the season's gone on, I mean, like I said, the last 3 games he's had over 100 yards. Offensive line, we've had 3 season-ending injuries. Again, we're just snake bit right there. But you know what? It it's thrown Matt Noble into play now, and Noble's going to be a good football player. He's from Moeller. He's a tough kid. I mean, he'll battle you. So, and then Pipkin. Throw Pipkin on top of that.
Exactly.
And we knew Pipkin was going to be a very athletic player, but how much could he grasp as a freshman? We didn't know. And we're finding out that the young man's very talented and special. He can handle a lot as a freshman, and we'll see what happens. But through my eyes, the young man's got a potential to be freshman player of the year in the GLIAC if he continues on and starts pulling some wins out. So we do have more experience, but like you just said, we look up now, we got an entire true freshman backfield. And, you're probably counting the gray hairs on my head. They're filling in pretty fast.
Yeah, it looks like there's a few more each and every week, Coach, if we do our program.
But I'm excited to coach these guys because they are very talented. We knew that. We knew what type of football player we were getting in Jerry Brown. And, those guys are going to be more productive, we hope, every game throughout. And, that last scoring drive they had, we had a wrong call. Our safety missed the defensive call. Yeah. And, therefore they hit the receiver down the sideline. So, again, just another play where we had 10 guys maybe in the right spot, but we had that 11th guy maybe not get the right assignment or whatnot. So, our message today was no different than it has been the last 3 weeks, is, guys, look at this. Here's 20 great plays on both sides of the ball, and here's 20 plays where one guy kept it from being a great play. We've all got to pay attention to detail. We all got to do our one job, not worry about trying to do somebody else's job during that play, and we'll be okay, But, we've learned 2 very tough lessons here early on in the season. The first game, we played good enough to win on both sides of the ball. Special teams beat us. Yeah. This game, we played good enough on both sides of the ball, with the exception of we gave up some big plays on defense, and then we didn't finish with touchdowns on the offense.
Absolutely.
Growing pains, and I'm tired of them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
There's a lot of potential here, and we just got to continue, fighting every day and sticking to our guns and doing what we believe in. And the kids know. The kids know that we're right there, and I'm ready for them to have that perfect game.
It just speaks volumes how crazy of a team game football is when one player being out of position can just change everything.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. Without a doubt. It's obviously we're biased because I'm in the football business. You're a big football fan. But, unlike baseball, you could have a guy go out and throw a no-hitter and still have a chance to win that game. Yeah. 1-0 on a wild pitch. Like, what happened the other night?
Yes, exactly.
Was the Marlins and Tigers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or in basketball, you can have a LeBron James get hot. It doesn't matter what the other 4 guys do on the court.
Exactly. Yep.
But football is truly a team sport, and if one guy does something out of play, then you the opposition can find it, whether it's offense or defense, and that's what happened to us.
Well, Coach, you're looking at the GLIAC from last weekend. Some surprising scores, to say the least. Well, Saginaw Valley had a 51-41 shootout victory over Lake Erie. A lot more points scored in that one than I was anticipating. Malone had the early lead against Wayne State in the first half, and Wayne State ends up pulling away 38-27 in that ball game. The surprise probably in the league, or at least score differential, was the Ohio Dominican 57-14 over Grand Valley. Ohio Dominican's a good football team, but 43 points.
I'm not really surprised on that because Grand Valley had to go there. Mm-hmm. Grand Valley always plays night games. Yeah, I think that was a 12 or 1 o'clock.
That was a noon game, same as us. Yes.
That's a pretty big advantage right there for a team that's used to playing at that time, as opposed to a team that always plays night games. Yep. And then ODU, they're a good football team.
Absolutely.
We saw that last year when we were down there. They're very, very talented, and I'm sure that they got up to play the number 7 team in the country.
Absolutely.
And, they probably saw we had a chance with them, and they probably saw a little blood in the water there.
Yeah. And see, Findlay doubles up Michigan Tech a little bit more and doubles up 40-19. Yeah. Ferris State all over Walsh, 57-16, and Ashland gets their first victory of the season, a 52-24 victory over Northern Michigan, and then Hillsdale steps out of the conference and falls to Indianapolis 17-14 over the weekend. So that was how the GLIAC shaped up last week.
Every weekend's, it's crazy. There's great football games played in the GLIAC every weekend. So
Malone coming in this weekend for homecoming. They come in wounded as well, an 0-4 record after we said falling to Wayne State. They've lost 3 GLIAC games already in the conference. They got some talented kids on their football
They
team,
do.
though. Wide
They
receiver Jordan Phillips is their leading receiver, I believe, through the air with like 124 yards. Bryce Pratt, running back, actually did a lot of good things out of the backfield, catching the ball last week, but he's leading them on the ground with 370 yards. And their quarterback, Will Spohr, we saw him last year, so we know what he can do as well.
He's a good player. He's a good player. They do a good job running the option and running some play action off of it, and they've scored points on everybody. And
well, they're giving up points this year, too. They're giving up an average of 43.8 points to their opponents this week, so it could be in for a shootout.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of yardage on the ground. I think Wayne State had over 300 yards rushing against them. The week before that, they gave up another 250 on the ground. But I tell you what, they play hard. From the games we've been breaking down, they play really hard. They're in good position. They're going to come here excited to play us, and both teams are kind of going to this game the same. I think we got the advantage. We're at home. It's homecoming. We should be pretty cranked up and excited to play. And I thought we've played hard the first 4 weeks. It's just time to draw the line in the dirt and say enough's enough, and let's start winning. And
Major League Baseball did us both as Atlanta Brave fans a favor by not scheduling a game on Saturday. So they play. We'll speak on that real quick here. You're an Atlanta Braves fan. I'm a huge Atlanta Braves fan as well. They got the Dodgers opening round. No Matt Kemp. Sounds like Andre Ethier's not going to play. But boy, that Dodgers pitching staff's going to be tough for the Braves to get up against.
Well, I'm glad the Braves are at home too, because they play a lot better at home.
About 20 game difference on the home compared to the road. So yeah, it's a huge advantage for the Braves.
Right.
Chris Medlin will start game 1 against the Dodgers. I'm sure the Dodgers will probably send what's his name, Kershaw out there.
Okay.
And then Greinke back to back. I mean, that's 2 number ones.
I'll tell you what, I'm a huge Braves fan, and I've been so wrapped up in our football season. If it wasn't for my son telling me, "Hey, Dad, the Braves are playing Tuesday," I'd have no idea.
Oh, I know. I hear you. It's easy to get lost in the baseball once football starts and the playoffs come around. You kind of sneak a peek back
Exactly.
at it. Yeah, but all right. Well, you say Coach East is going to join us here in a little bit.
He is,
as well as offensive lineman Matt Noble.
Right.
All right. Let's take a break. Then we'll come back and we'll bring one of those 2 guests on. You are listening to the Gary Goff Show on the Tiffany University Dragon Radio Network. Tiffany University Athletics, go to www.gotiffendragons.com. If you'd like more information on Tiffany University, go to www.tiffin.edu. Coach Goff, one of your assistant coaches, going to join us now. I believe he was on the program with us last year once as well, so you must be mad at him again, made him come on a second time, huh?
Well, he always said, "Hey, I used to do a radio all the time for the Kentucky games," and he's good at it, so why not have him on more than once,
All right. Coach Craig East, wide receiver coach, Tiffany University, join us. Coach East, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, so welcome back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, Coach, talk a little bit again, remind the folks about how Coach East ended up being on part of your staff.
Yeah, well, me and Craig played for the same coach in Hal Mummy, and Mike Leach was also the coordinator on both those staffs, and we played under him as well. And I was at Davidson University visiting a friend a couple of springs ago, and knew a lot about Craig, 'cause obviously I followed Hal when he was at Kentucky and watched him everything, and got to hang out with him that weekend. We were helping a buddy of ours that was coaching there and helping him install the offense at Davidson, and just started talking. And, things happen for a reason, I guess. I'm a believer in that. And it wasn't 3 days later that the receivers coach I had, Kirk Campbell, got an offer to be an OC at another school and left. And just that past weekend, me and Craig were talking. He's like, "Man, I'd love to get into college coaching." And he was a high school coach at the time and obviously knows our background and what type of offense we run here. He played in it. And then on top of that, he's got the pedigree because he played professional ball for 7 years. So, it was a no-brainer for me to offer the job to him, and it took a little bit of convincing from me and him to his wife, Tori, to get him to move away from home. But the rest is history. He's been here. This is his second season with me and doing a great job for us.
Well, you work with the wide receivers here on the Tiffany University Dragon offense, Coach East. Talk a little bit about your crew that you have out there this year.
Well, I think we have a young group, and also we have a somewhat of a veteran group. I think the biggest thing with our group right now is just making sure we are consistent in everything that we do. I talk a lot with those guys about effort, but we really have some guys that can make some plays. Just right now, we just trying to continue to push them to do it. It's one thing to know that they have the ability. And it's another thing to actually go out and do it. But we have some good guys. Marcus Burum right now I think is playing really good football. We were just talking in the meeting this morning that we probably need to find a couple more ways to get the ball in his hands. Tony Shea is a good football player. He's just young.
Yeah.
First time playing in the GLIACs. Started the season out really well, having some growing pains, but he's young.
Sure.
And he'll come back from that, and we're going to continue to work with him. Jeremy Armstrong's having another good season. Just want him to continue to get better and fight through some things and just work hard all the time. That's my biggest thing with Jeremy, is just do it all the time. Jacob Snyder came on against Grand Valley and had some really good plays, and hopefully we'll get him back this week.
Oh, that'd be excellent, yeah.
Kind of made Tyler Jones step his game up a little bit.
Sure. He seemed like I told Coach, he seemed like he was in the right place at the right time an awful lot last Saturday.
He was, and one thing that I've talked to him about is, especially with Pipkin being an athletic quarterback and being able to do some things with his legs, we really have to work scramble drill, and we have to stay alive on play. So Tyler was a recipient of some of those scramble plays last week. So
you brought up Marcus's name. He took a pretty good shot in his back there at the game on Saturday. Seemed like he wasn't in a position to be able to brace himself for the shot. He doing okay from that though?
Yeah, I think he's fine. He didn't show any effects at all of.
He had a back plate on, so.
Okay, yeah.
I think they all wear back plates now.
Yeah, from my vantage point, it didn't look real comfortable. So I'm glad to hear he's doing okay. So you've been working with the receivers here for a couple of years. Talk a little bit about some of the improvements that you've seen some of the guys you've had for a couple of years make from last year into this year.
Well, one of the things that we are playing harder. That's the thing that I'm really happy about. One thing that I really brought up with the guys the other day was the fact that we are blocking better. Still, sometimes we don't do everything that we need to do in blocking, but overall, I think that has really improved over the time that I've been here. I think toughness is getting a little bit better. Again, we are young, and we still need to continue to work on some of the little things. But, toughness, blocking, I think those are some things that have improved. We still need to continue to work on catching the ball in traffic and making the big play when it's a tough play. That's something right now that I'm kind of trying to harp on, is make the play even when it's hard. Just make the play.
That's what we've been telling them. Hey, we expect you to make the routine play. Everybody can make the routine play. We want you to make the tough play, And
they're going to hit you whether you catch it or not.
Right, and that's one thing we turn on the film and we see, well, man, look at that. We need to make that play. We've got to make that play in traffic in the end zone. That's our football, not anybody else's. So
my biggest thing now is, and they'll hear me say it, and they're probably getting tired. I say, sometimes you just got to make a play. Yeah, and I say it all the time. Sometimes just got to make a play.
And a lot of times you got to rely on your wide receivers to be playmakers.
Exactly.
Oh, sure. You just told me during the break about Julio Jones last night going up and taking the ball from two guys.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
He sure did.
Well, you lost a guy who was a great team player in Obadiah Dykes. You got somebody who's willing to step up and be that kind of player for you out of your crew now?
I think we do. I think, in my opinion, Marcus really has stepped up kind of into that role a little bit. He's being a little bit more vocal. He's a redshirt junior. He's pretty much a senior. So he stepped up. He's a little more vocal. He plays harder. He works harder. He always has something to say positive to the young guys. A guy that I think we're missing right now that is not playing is Pedro Correa.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're really missing Pedro right now in his leadership, but he's out there every day. He just, if he could be out there, trust me, he would be out there. So
is there a timetable for his return?
Well, he fractured his thumb right here, and he's still wearing a splint. He got his cast off. He still can't catch the football with that hand. They told him don't even do push-ups or anything on that hand. So, at this point, you're probably looking at redshirting him.
Okay.
So that way he'll have 2 full seasons.
Yeah,
but,
you miss him on special teams as well.
Oh, yeah, and the punt return. Yeah, Santor's doing a good job there, too. But, Pedro's probably been our most consistent receiver the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's a young man that he's not the fastest, he's not the strongest, but he will run the best routes, and he will outwork you.
Yeah, and he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing about Pedro. It doesn't matter where we put him. I mean, it's extremely difficult for any other receiver to beat him out because he just absolutely outworks them no matter what. He's not going to be outworked. And some of the guys, you wish they had more Pedro in them all the time. If we had a group of Pedros, just a whole group full,
we'd be straight.
Oh man, we'd be gravy, man. You know what I'm saying? But we're still learning.
Yeah.
How does the coaching change when you work with wide receivers? When you go from a Joey Frendo drop back style quarterback to a quarterback like Antonio Pipkin, who's going to move around the pocket more? You talked about how you always got to be aware of where he is and make sure you never give up on your routes. Is that pretty much where the coaching change goes to, or is it just keep coaching them and be playmakers?
We just keep coaching them, just keep telling them, hey, you got the ability to make plays, just make plays. I think with Pipkin, it just gives us more ability with his legs. With Joey in there, we still work scramble drill because scramble drill is always a part of our offense.
Yeah.
There's always big plays in scramble drill. It's just more of an opportunity for scramble drill with Pipkin in there because if the play breaks down, he can move out of the pocket. And that's where we have to be aware and understand where we need to be in scramble drill so we can make some plays like Tyler Jones did last week.
Well, I think another deal, too, is the receivers got to understand that, wow, I might be 50 yards downfield.
The ball can still get to me.
I better keep running because Pipkin can throw the ball 70 yards, I promise you.
That is true.
But, so the plays, are carried out a little bit farther maybe, a little deeper.
Yeah, well, and also you better get your head spun around because that ball's going to go on you pretty quick when he lets it go as well.
He can spin it.
Yeah.
He's definitely got an arm.
So, Mrs. Fine with you being up here now? Everything good?
She is. She's fine. Mama's happy.
That always what they say.
If Mama's happy, everybody's happy.
Happy
right?
wife's happy life.
That's it, man.
But he's got son is a stud receiver at the high school here.
Yeah.
And so it's been a lot of fun for them to watch him play and everything. And didn't you tell me today we got an early commitment from him? Not yet.
Breaking news.
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
He's just a freshman, man.
Yeah, he's a freshman.
Got a long way to go.
He's a good player. He's a really good player. So.
Well, Dad was a good player. Your name's still on some of those SEC record books out there?
I don't know if I'm at the top, but I'm somewhere along the
Still in there.
Mom's
top
the
3
athlete.
to 5. Oh, there's no
Mom's
question
the
about
athlete,
that.
not him.
Mom
Don't
was?
fool you.
Hey, you got to understand that, a lot of people know me because I played at Kentucky and I played professional ball. What they don't know is that my wife, from 7th grade all the way through high school, she won state championships in track.
Oh, wow.
Several different events. She played basketball. She averaged 25 points, 18 rebounds a game.
Goodness.
She wasn't really recruited for some reason or another. I don't know. But
Small town.
She went to Kentucky and she walked on the basketball team and made it and played a year of basketball and probably would have been on scholarship had she just decided she was going to continue to play. But she was probably the better athlete.
Wow. Well, that's saying a lot when you got a starting SEC wide receiver
He's
in the
banking
household.
brownie points right now. He's going to go home. Hey, honey, watch the show tonight.
Yeah,
Watch
make
the
sure you
show.
watch it, babe. We talked about you and how great you are.
She'll tell you. But,
She'll
she'll tell you, hey, I was the best athlete in the family.
Yeah.
If I'd have played football, she tells me all the time, if I'd have played football, I'd have been a linebacker, I'd have took your head off. Yeah, right.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Coach, you got anything else for Coach Yeast for letting him out the hot seat?
No, he does a great job for us. He's a great recruiter. We're going to have one of his recruits come on next that's playing for us now, and Matt Noble that he recruited last year. And, we're extremely happy to have him. And, I told him, hey, as long as your son commits, we'll continue getting you raises.
Yeah. Well, what can you tell us about Matt before we bring him on? A kid you helped bring it to the Tiffin University football team.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Matt is he's a offensive lineman from Moeller High School in Cincinnati. And, I went and visited him. I loved his family. And one thing that I recognized real quick about him, that he was tough. He just when you talk to him, you knew he just kind of had that attitude as, Yeah, I'll hit you in the mouth if I need to now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, we learned that at the dinner table
There's
that
no
night.
question
Matt's
about
sitting
it.
behind the camera right now. But we go for the family home visit, and we're having family dinner. And I don't know, Matt, what was there at least 8 of us?
Yeah.
Or was that just counting the dogs
Count
too?
the
But
dogs.
you got to be tough to eat there. There's so many people. You
Oh,
know?
wow.
But no, great family. His dad's a big, strong guy as well.
Yeah.
So and we'll talk to Matt about him. But
He's a hard-working kid.
yes,
Well, you better be if
Very
you're going to play.
hard
If you're going to play at that high school.
we need
That's for
more
sure.
like him. We need a lot more like
We
him.
need
so.
more.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
Coach East, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you stopping in and chatting with us here on the Gary Goff Show. Give your wife our best.
All right, I will.
And, yeah, no doubt. Be nice to her. We might want to see you next weekend at the game, so make sure you're nice to her. But Coach East, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to getting a chance to talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
That's wide receiver coach Craig East here on the Gary Goff Show. Coach, let's take a break and bring one of your student athletes up. Matt Noble, offensive lineman, freshman. So we'll be back with Matt right after this. You are listening to and watching the Gary Goff Show on the Tiffin University Dragon Radio Network. Welcome back to the Gary Goff Show here on the Tiffin University Dragon Radio Network. Hello again to our viewers on YouTube and to our viewers on the Channel 10 here in Tiffin. Well, Coach, we talked to Craig East, your wide receiver coach. He's always a lot of fun. Yeah. We get done with. He's like always joking around here in Tiffin. But
he's one of the biggest jokesters too. So don't let him fool you.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of his recruits, offensive lineman that we talked about as he was watching us talk about him. Now we'll get to talk with him, named Matt Noble. Why don't you talk a little bit about this offensive lineman here?
Yeah, we got Matt Noble here joining us now from Moeller High School, obviously one of the better-known high schools throughout the state of Ohio. And, they play at the top level.
Had a big win last weekend, if I remember correctly. An overtime game against St. X, right?
Oh, it was overtime.
Yeah.
So, but, we had a lot of fun recruiting Matt. He was very highly recruited by a lot of teams in our conference and throughout the state, and had a lot of fun. We went down there for a home visit, and I'd seen him a couple times in school, and, you get a good feeling for the guys sometimes at school, but you get a lot better feeling when you go into their homes
Absolutely.
and meet their families and see what the family's beliefs are and all this. And it's kind of funny, his brother walked up to us, introduced himself, and I thought it was his younger brother. He's a lot smaller than Matt, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's his older brother. And then his dad comes in. His dad's a lot bigger than Matt right now. And I think, didn't your dad play offensive line? At Akron.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he comes around, a big, strong guy, and you can tell he's a hard worker. And then there's his mother and sweetest woman you could imagine, and had this huge meal for us, and wasn't going to let us leave until we were full and could not eat anymore.
Nice.
But we had a lot of people around the table, and they've got these big dogs that were all over the place too, and it was a lot of fun.
What kind of dogs were they?
With 3 labs and a Rottweiler.
Oh, wow. So you got your dad's bigger than you. You got you in the house. You got all these dogs in the house. You must have a pretty good size home.
Well, and you got me and Coach Yeeks, who aren't the biggest guys in the world. We're kind of sitting at the table like this, surrounded by everybody
Wow.
eating dinner.
Wow.
Dogs on either side of them.
Yeah, exactly. But Matt was a lot of fun. We're very excited to have him. He was one of our top recruits, and I tell you what, he's exactly what you want in an offensive lineman. The young man will battle you, and he will battle you, and he'll come back for more.
Well, in our pregame interview, Coach, before the game up at Northwood last weekend, you brought up Matt's name and said, I'm pretty excited to watch Matt Noble play football today.
Yeah, I was. We had Bobby Gay go down with an injury, and so, Matt took a lot of reps in practice that week and was prepared, and I think Matt was just as excited. He was ready to start his first college game, and it probably wasn't a perfect game that he played, but I tell you what, he played a really good football game for his first college start.
Well, welcome to the Dragons, Matt. Happy to have you, and thank you for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.
So you played at Cincinnati Moeller High School. That's talk about a high school that's going to get you ready to play college football. Yeah. You played some absolutely huge football games down there. We got good football up here in the northern part of the state, but we're not as familiar with Cincinnati Moeller until you see them like in the state semifinals, state finals. Talk a little bit about playing high school down there in Cincinnati area, because that's a great hotbed for high school football.
Cincinnati in general just has really good football. And then in our league, it's one of the best leagues in the country with St. X and Elder and LaSalle. And then also Moeller will play a lot of teams that are nationally ranked. Like we played Gilman or something. Yeah, Gilman. And they were ranked 10th in the nation. Then we also come up to Cleveland to play a bunch of your best teams.
Like, I think it helps you get ready to play college football? I'm sure it does.
Yeah, absolutely. We play the best, and I think only 3 games I didn't have a D1 talent end against me.
Oh, wow.
And you probably realize that too, Coach, when you're recruiting a young man like that. You get some guys who are going to be a little bit closer to stepping on the field earlier than some other kids might be.
Without a doubt. I mean, when you're recruiting, high school seniors, you're sitting there saying, okay, well, first of all, do we like his athletic ability, way he run blocks, way he pass sets, does he use his hands, does he have good feet? But you also throw on top of that, he's played at the top level, as to where – I'm not saying that the lower levels don't have good players. Sometimes you might look at an offensive lineman that's playing one of the lower levels, and you're like, well,
who's he blocking?
Who's he gone up against?
Yeah.
Has he gone up against a guy who's 180 pounds? And, so that's one of the first things we saw about it on his film is, wow, look at the competition, and he is doing a great job against them. So
even though you are playing against that good competition in high school, some of the other athletes that we bring on here, we talk about what's the big difference from high school to college, and it's the bigger and faster guys. And even though you're playing some of these big guys in high school, I bet you're seeing that at this level as well.
It's definitely faster, but it helped a lot to play at Moeller.
Absolutely, I'm sure.
What was camp like when we first started practicing?
It's quick.
Sure. Wheels were spinning just a little bit?
Yeah.
And our run game and pass protection is not very difficult, but still, it's got to happen on the fly,
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the air raid offense, is anything like what you played in high school, or is it a little bit different to make some adjustments when you got up here?
We ran a hurry-up, but we also slowed down the clock, and we ran 92 plays the last game. We didn't run near that many in high school, so that was
probably the most you ran in high school, probably around 70. It'd probably be a lot of plays for high school.
Yeah, I would think, yeah. So how did they convince you to become a Dragon? What was it about Tiffin University? You said, that's where I want to go continue my education as well as go play college football.
Coaching, for sure. I loved what Coach Goff was doing. He was definitely committed to winning. As soon as he came in here, he just stripped the program, got rid of anybody who wasn't committed to winning, and I want to win. And I knew we were going to get there.
I was familiar with the coaching staffs that have been here for the previous 20 years, but I came into my position almost the same exact time as Coach Goff. I mean, first game together was our first game together. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. I saw what was going on before. I see where the program is now, and we're taking those steps, but it's time to start, like we said earlier, Coach, it's time to start running.
Right. And we had that conversation today with the team again, didn't we, Matt? I mean, we hadn't changed anything, and we're still very committed to winning. And I tell you what, as long as we keep recruiting very well, and we have the last 2 years, I think that we've done a great job recruiting. My staff's done a great job. And as long as we keep recruiting young men like Matt and some of the other guys we've mentioned with the winning attitude and from great programs, we're going to be right where we want to be. But we're excited about having Matt, and I wish we had 20 or 30 more.
You work mostly with Coach Bakar?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Coach Bakar as a person, and talk a little bit about him as a head coach, or as a line coach, excuse me.
He's a really good guy, and I knew that right away when I met him. And you just get that vibe from him that he's just committed to winning. And then you came in here, and he definitely gets really fired up, and I like that about him, because if you mess up, he's gonna fix it, and he's gonna fix it.
But
quick.
he looked the best thing about Coach Bakar, we got to have him on next week.
Okay.
I don't care if he wants to or not. He's coming on the show. The best thing about Coach Bakar is the first time you meet him, everybody's like, is he the receivers coach or is he the kickers coach?
We did think you guys were messing with us.
Yeah.
And because he played offensive line in college, but he's probably lost 100 pounds.
He's probably 5'10", 180 right now, and
he played at 270 or 290.
Yeah. And what you're going to teach me how to? Yeah.
But he knows his stuff, doesn't he, Matt?
He doesn't even sleep. I don't think he slept in his office like 5 times during camp.
Oh, I believe it.
Sleep, and he's going to get us prepared for sure.
What are you studying here at Tiffin University?
Business management.
Business management, and I'm sure, as most college football players, you hope to be able to continue playing after your collegiate days are done. But do you have anything worked in the back of your mind if that doesn't work out? What you like to see yourself doing in 5-10 years?
My dad has a business right now, and I know he doesn't want me to get in the contract or anything like that. But We'll see. I'm not sure.
It's funny how all dads say that. Yeah. Son, I don't want you to get into coaching, but it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Same thing with your dad.
I grew up with it. So.
Exactly right. It's what you know. It's what you've been around.
Well, you know yourself better than anybody. If there's something you think that you need to maybe improve on a little bit more to help the Dragons get the first win this weekend against Malone, what is that?
I think as a whole we just need to tighten a few things up because we're right there. And personally, I need to get better in pass protection. I gave up 2 sacks that were actually my fault. And I need to get better. In the weight room this year, I need to get stronger because those guys are pretty strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've run up against some tough competition. You got some more coming the rest of this way as well. So, Coach, you have anything else for Matt?
No, not really. We're excited to have him. It's fun to have his family become a part of our family now. I think they've been at every game and
oh wow, that's a pretty decent haul coming up from Cincinnati up to the Grand Valley game.
I think that's what they told me. They didn't care. They're going to travel. It doesn't matter where the game is. Are they going to Des Moines?
Yeah, I'm sure they would.
Yeah, I mean, so so we're excited to have them become a part of our family here at Tiffin, and the future's very bright for this young man. I think no matter what he puts his mind to, he's going to be very successful because he's got that drive, he's got that will, and he's tough. And I love tough guys.
Well, hopefully I'll get a chance to meet him sometime. I ran into a couple of grandparents before the game at Northwood. They're like, hey, love the Coach Goff show you guys do. You guys do a great job of that. I'm like, hey, well, we're working on it. We're trying to make it better and better, but it's always fun to run into the parents and listen to nice things they have to say and then know that they're checking out the program and stuff. So, yeah, give your parents our best and tell them we're happy to cheer up here as the Tiffin University Dragon, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and continue success at Tiffin University, not only with the athletics but with your academics as well. And as we said, go Dragons. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Coach, we got to talk to Coach Yeast this week and talk to your offensive lineman, Matt Noble, and Malone coming up this weekend. We have the Hall of Fame banquet on Friday night. We have the game on Saturday. It's a 1:30 kickoff. Our pregame show will begin at 1 o'clock, and then all the homecoming festivities. And then I believe is it next month, the Good Morning World Breakfast Lecture Series, the QB guru, George Whitfield, is going to come and be on campus. So a lot of exciting things going on.
It's funny, George was on TV last Thursday at the Georgia Tech game and Virginia Tech, and he's on there talking about he had trained both quarterbacks. Well, he had a Yankees hat on. Oh. So I texted him while he was on TV and said, hey, man, you're in Atlanta. I got to get you a Braves hat.
Yes, you do.
And about 40 minutes later, he texted me back, oh, Coach Goff, how you doing? But I thought it was funny. He was in Atlanta with the Yankees hat, and he answered my text while he's at the game.
Yeah.
So, George is a good guy. He's another person who wants to see Tiffin do well. And we're excited to have him back here on campus here in a few weeks.
Yeah, you can get a hold of the development office at Tiffin University. You'd like to get some tickets for that coming up the next Good Morning World Breakfast Lecture Series. But, yeah, Malone this weekend. It's always exciting to have a lot of the alumni back for the homecoming festivities. And, something's got to give this weekend.
Yep.
Two teams both looking for their first taste. And, it's get 7 instead of 3, and I think good things will happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're finally playing at home again. I don't feel like we've played at home in a long time. Yeah. But we had a great crowd come out for the Michigan Tech game. This is homecoming, so it should be even a better crowd than that. There's going to be a lot of activities going on throughout the week. We just got to stay focused. We can't get wrapped up in all this homecoming activities as coaches and players.
Yeah.
And make sure that we are paying attention to detail and know our task at hand here. And as long as we go out and play hard for 4 quarters, I feel very confident. But, we got to learn from our mistakes. And as long as we can do that, we can win a lot of football games around here. And like I mentioned earlier, we got to learn from our mistake that first week to last week and finish drives, play good, sound football on both sides, and we'll be fine.
Kickoff at 1:30 from Frost County Stadium this Saturday as the Dragons take on Malone. Let's thank our sponsors for the program tonight. Our title sponsors are CF Professionals Incorporated, Gary Gruse's office, the Ohio Mutual Insurance Group, Jim Kennedy's office. Our other sponsors include Marco's Pizza, the Pioneer Mill Restaurant, Ralph's Joy of Living, Seneca Hills Golf Course, State Farm Insurance, Steyer Seeds, Tiffin Ace Hardware, and Viewpoint Graphics. We'll be back next week with another installment of the Gary Goff Show. So, Coach, make sure you tell Coach Yeast again we said thank you. And, Matt, thank you for your time. Best of luck here at Tiffin University once again. And, Coach, let's do it again next week. Go Braves.
Sounds good. That's right. Go Dragons.
Go Dragons. That's right. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And we'll catch you next week right here on the Gary Goff Show as part of the Tiffin University Dragon Radio Network.